Okay, hold on. Can you hear me? Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, you can hear me. Great. Let me grab the slides and then we can get it moving. I don't think we'll be here more than an hour. Of course, that's what I say almost every day. I don't think we'll be here more than an hour. Hey, Church Nelly. Yes, 58,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you for all of your constant support. And of course, your member and what is it? Moderator. Thank you so much for that. You are everything, and everything is you. Oh, you are everything, and everything is you. Okay, there we go. All right, William the Spare. I will explain. He is getting caught up in his feelings, so they say. Now, the important thing we have to remember is one could say that we really can't pick and choose what we do believe and what we choose to not believe when it comes from the tabloids. Yeah, we can't pick and choose what not to believe. You could say that, but the truth is, there's a lot of leaking and briefing that happens with the houses of Windsor, and sometimes it's all you got. And so, rather than say what they mean or mean what they say, they just have the press do it. They'll tell the courtiers will get on a phone call with the press. And so the tabloids, they are very keen to say sources close to the royal family, someone that works for the royal family, a source inside the palace, those kind of things. And inevitably, some of those things are true. So um, I hate being the what do you call that? I was just thinking about that today. I hate being the tabloid whisperer, but again, that's how it works. That's the way these things happen. So you don't really get a chance to decide what's the best possible source when it comes to the royal family because they try to maintain a certain mystique, right? But um, reading between the lines, that's it. We got to read between the lines. And some things you just, you can accept it, and some things you just can't. You just can't. Happy Memorial Day to you all and the fallen military servicemen and women. Thank you. A happy remembrance to all of our late family members. TB, that is beautiful. Thank you so much for that. You get a bell. What is that? Dansby says 1 minute I'm listening and commenting, and the next I hear my alarm going off. Time to get up for work. Oh man. Okay, we'll try to keep it restricted to an hour tonight. Um, I made a cemetery run myself today, and I could hear cicadas. I didn't see them, but I could hear them, and they're loud. I could hear the cicadas. I even drove around looking for them, but I just couldn't find them. Of course, the sound of that old beat up car of mine probably scared them. That's probably why I didn't see them. They heard that trashy car of mine coming and decided to lay low. Hey, Lydia. Hi, Bonzola. Yeah. My car is the loudest thing that has come out of Detroit since Martha and the Vandellas. I promise you. It is the loudest thing since the Spinners, the Tops. Who else is from there? But anyway, it's pretty loud. Okay. Oh, you never heard them? You know how the power lines, sometimes when those power lines, when there's like a power surge and the power lines are like, "Wee," has that, that weird sound? That's what the cicadas sound like. There's a constant, like a, like almost like a buzzing, humming, vibration sound is what you hear. And, they're harmless to humans and pets, they say. So chances are the queen consort would do perfectly well. She'd have something to snack on, and they won't hurt her. I don't know what could hurt her. Um, maybe we'll find out. She keep messing with people. Maybe we'll find out. Okay, let's get moving here. All right, so it is Memorial Day, Harry and Meghan, and dragging the Middletons. Well, not quite. I'm recycling that thumbnail. I'm probably going to drag one Middleton, but not all of them. But yeah, I'm just recycling. That's the thumbnail I used from last year. I just thought I'd use it in the slides today. Um, Me too, Church Nelly. You're usually passed out by now. Prince Harry visited Arlington National Cemetery some years ago when he had his big solo tour of the U.S. It's one of those things that his brother should have done, but did not have enough character or wherewithal to do it himself. The Queen realized the value of Prince Harry, and so she sent him on this great solo engagement. And it was at that point that he went to Colorado, I believe it was, and he was inspired by the Warrior Games. And that, of course, is what led to the Invictus Games. It was this solo trip here. At Arlington National Cemetery, in case you guys don't know it, Arlington National Cemetery is like one of the most sacred places in the United States. Um, it is a cemetery that originally was the Arlington. It was actually an Arlington, Virginia mansion, an estate, and during the Civil War, since the family that lived there were for the Confederacy, the United States government, the Union Army, and the Union soldiers, well, they commandeered it, and to ruin it for the family, they actually made their palatial estate a burial ground, and that means that the family would never want to live there again. Now, over time, the family did receive compensation from the U.S. government, but we have many national cemeteries. Um, but that is the most sacred, is the Arlington National. And up until that ridiculous orange menace Trump, only American presidents that have been in military service were allowed to be buried there. As a matter of fact, it is a military cemetery, and only the servicemen and their spouses can be buried there, right? Well, Donald Trump changed the rules while he was president. And I do hope that secretly Biden changed them back because he does not deserve to be buried there. This is the guy who got several deferments and never had military service. One of his maladies was hill spurs. So I don't think he deserves it. And there's Harry wandering among the tombstones, having a moment to reflect on sacrifice. Yeah, right, right. I mean, I can't tell you how proud I am of this guy. I don't have the words, but everything about him is just so elegant and so majestic, if you will. And yet so normal and so ordinary. Yeah, he is very normal and ordinary, as much as you can be when you're a prince of the realm. And right there, you can see Harry even laid his own bouquet of flowers and even a card. I don't know how he selected this particular serviceman, but he did. And it says, "To my comrades in arms of the United States of America who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in the cause of freedom, Captain Harry Wells." So that was what was written on the card, which is very difficult to see, but I did manage to translate it from his handwriting. And yeah, so it says, "Before Jersey, I'd gone to Washington, D.C., met with President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, visiting Arlington National Cemetery, laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. I'd laid dozens of wreaths before, but the ritual was different in America. You don't place the wreath on the grave yourself. A white gloved soldier places it with you, and then you lay your hand singly for one beat upon the wreath. This extra step, this partnering with another living soldier, moved me," Harry said. "Holding my hand to the reef for an extra second, I found myself a bit wobbly, my mind flooding with images of all the men and women with whom I'd served. I thought about death, injury, grief, from Helmand Province to Hurricane Sandy to the Alma Tunnel, and I wondered how other people just got on with their lives, whereas I felt such doubt and confusion." And something else he said. So I tell you, he has a heart of gold. He really does. He has a heart of gold, and he really thinks about other people. So right there, that is the grave. Michael L. Stansberry Jr., Special U.S. Army. Is that right? No, that's not what SPC means. What does it mean? Anyway, that is the grave that he chose. Where's one of our soldiers? Tell me what that means. SPC, U.S. Army. Is it special something? Oh, well, we'll come back to it. And right there, you can see Harry laying flowers at the grave of John F. Kennedy, President of the United States. He was the last president out of a handful that have actually been assassinated, sadly. But yeah, and Harry reminds me a lot of John F. Kennedy. They have that same spirit. Oh, it's specialists. Okay, thank you. And of course, that sense of Camelot, if you will. Yeah, that's the he just remind they he and Megan, they just have that same kind of like youthful energy. Yeah, that's it. They have the same youthful energy. Okay, thank you, Esmeralda. And of course, big sacrifices for this nation ever since the beginning. The first person to die in the American Revolution was a black man by the name of Crispus Attucks. Um, that's why Black history in the US is really American history. It's one and the same. You really can't have one without the other. As a matter of fact, I was this many years old when I learned that Memorial Day was actually created by Black people. Um, surviving the Civil War, a very grateful town of people, of veterans, I believe it was. No, I think they were, no, I'm sorry, they were former slaves. They were so grateful for their freedom that they actually went to a mass grave for Union soldiers, and they exhumed the bodies and gave them a proper burial. And then, of course, other people heard about it, black and white, and there was speeches, people picnicked on the grass and such. And so that is what eventually became a nationally recognized Memorial Day, a national holiday. I tell you, the lottery, the lottery came from the black community. There's so many things that has its roots in the black community. And again, that's why I say American history and black history is one and the same. So you can't have one without the other. Um, that's why when people have the nerves to say, if you don't like this country, leave it. I certainly will not. It's mine more so than it is a lot of people, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so I'm going to play a little soundbite for you where this guy explains Memorial Day. Okay.
Impact they try to hide.
At the end of the war,
Okay.
an expression of reverence and gratitude, 28 African American
sorry about that. Let me
workers gave them
Memorial Day.
I'm going to start it from the beginning. Little technical difficulty here, but I'm going to start it from the beginning, and you can hear it.
Was originally called Decoration Day and was created by black folks in Charleston, South Carolina that were formerly enslaved. They made their own orders and exhumed a mass grave full of dead Union soldiers, reburied their bodies, and commemorated their lives with a celebration and parade. And this is truly no surprise, but whenever black folks are fully involved in America's history, it's our impact they try to hide.
At the end of the war, in an expression of reverence and gratitude, 28 African American workers gave them proper burials. They inscribed above their final resting place, Martyrs of the Racecourse. 2 weeks later, thousands of freed slaves, school children, and Union soldiers made a procession to the cemetery to pay tribute to their sacrifice. They laid flowers on the graves, listened to speeches, and picnicked on the grass. This informal observance, and others like it, would evolve over time into the holiday we know as Memorial Day.
Okay, there you go. That is where Memorial Day comes from. Okay, now this is listen, I don't even know what the conversation was about. I saw this from last year, right? When I looked at my slide from last Memorial Day, I I don't even know what that was about, but I forgot I had did this. I had forgot I had created this slide where I gave actually I created I well I decide, you know what I did, that you can see what I oh I forgot about that. I forgot about that. God, that was funny. I don't even know what the conversation was about, but I saw that again today and I'm just like, did I do that? It is anatomically correct. Yeah, it is a true depiction of the size of Camilla Tominey's massive cranium. I mean, it's massive. She has more surface space between her hairline and her chin compared to any other human, any other. I mean, there's some people with some very large heads out there, and still no one can hold a candle to her. And even if they did, you wouldn't be able to illuminate her entire face because it's just so much of it. And I mean, see what I mean? It's just huge, and she's not even that tall. That's why it's so. Oh man, but um, but as you know, she is obsessed with Megan, and there are the signs when someone is completely obsessed. The scrunch brow, pursed lips, tight jaw, crazy eyes. Know the signs. You have to know the signs. Okay? Okay, let's get on with it. Oh, when I saw that, you should have saw the look I had on my face. I forgot about it. I had totally forgot about it. I don't even know what it was. I played some sound, and I don't even know what I played. I guess the hard part for John Cleese is looking so natural, as if he's not talking to the big gigantic head Camilla Tominey. Okay. All right. So let's get on with it. We're going to have a moment of silence for all of our loved ones that could not be here. Um, it's important to have that reflection. So I'll give you, a symbolic moment of silence. Shall we? All right. Thank you so much, everyone. It's always important to uh, work your hardest that you can, live your life with integrity, and live your life with joy, because that is what we owe to the people that are not here. We have to represent everyone we've ever known. So, everyone who's ever loved us and that we have loved, that is your duty for the rest of your life, is to remember them and to do the best you can in thinking about them. So, all right, thank you so much. Let's see here. Prince William feels spare himself as Harry uses outcast status to become more prominent. Well, if they say so. I would like to say that Harry has always had a very prominent position in the royal family. I just shared with you that tour of the US where Harry went to the United States Congress. He went to the Arlington Cemetery. He went to Ground Zero. He even went to that firehouse, the one that William visited for the first time in his life. Harry was there first. William was walking in his little brother's footsteps, something that he has to get used to, because as much as they tried to convince Harry that he was hopeless without his brother, that he was destined to live in his brother's shadow, it is William who is living in Harry's shadow, and rightly so, because William doesn't have much by way of integrity or character, um, whereas Harry has managed to convince people to support some of the visions that he's had in life, including the Invictus Games. I mean, he didn't just waltz into that. His courtiers did not put that together. The Travelers, Prince Harry, it didn't just happen. And of course, he convinced one of the most brilliant people in the world to marry him. Again, that took some negotiation, but obviously he has a great deal of charm and integrity. Otherwise, people wouldn't support him like they do, but they do. And there's a good reason for that because he is that person. He is that person. Um, let's see what else. Oh, powerless Prince William feels like a spare as Harry and Meghan use outcast status to win back global prominence. Um, I'm not sure they ever lost it, but if they say so, I won't. I won't try to argue that point. I would like to think that they've always had it, whatever it is, they've always had it. Like, for instance, right there, Prince Harry has admitted that he felt like the spare during his time as in the royal family, but it seems the tables have now turned with his brother, Prince William. Again, I like to read between the lines. I don't take these things as gospel. William feels like a spare and overshadowed by his brother, Prince Harry, and sister in law, Meghan Markle, after the couple's Nigeria tour helps them into the spotlight. Well, yeah, I mean, but they're already the most popular royals anywhere, so they are the spotlight, right? Let me see. The next one here. Prince William feels overshadowed. Same thing. So there's a few news outlets that's running that story. Now, the other thing you have to remember when it comes to these types of articles is that when they're making the rounds like this, that usually means that the palace really wants to get that out there. Now, it seems like they're trying to build up some type of sympathy, or as though they're trying to make excuses for William's lack of popularity. I do believe a lot of people are considering whether William has any responsibility with his partner being unavailable right now. There was a lot of people that felt that way before the what looked like an AI video where Kate was sitting on the bench. It looks like an alleged AI video. So even at that time, people were kind of in their feelings with William. Nobody will say it publicly, but if you notice, most of the gatherings where William has a crowd, it's usually with children. The only other time I could think of was the garden party, which, of course, people are going to go to the garden party. They invite people who have been honored with those OBEs, MBEs, and all the other stuff. So they tend to jump when they are given their orders. Um, like Auntie Esther told Fred Sanford, and when I pull your chain, you had better bark, right? So that's exactly what Auntie Esther told Fred Sanford. She say, and when I pull your chain, you had better bark. And that's what they do with the people that they give those honors to. They're like a dog on the chain. And when you get those honors, when they pull that chain, you better get the barking. They didn't give it to you for no reason. Also, there's free food. I hear there's a lot of free food at those functions. So that's another way to get people out. But yeah, so I don't know that William is feeling defeated because when William is backed in the corner like that, what usually happens is he will have his people. I'm alleging that he will have them try to leak or plot against Harry in some kind of way. Otherwise, this would mean that he is admitting defeat. But the only way he would do that is if he had some other kind of strategy that he's working on where he will try to get people to look the other way. Unless they are just making excuses for him. I don't know. Prince Harry has admitted he felt like a spare during the time in the royal family, but it seems that the tables have turned with his brother, Prince William. Prince William feels as though he is being overshadowed by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, according to a royal expert. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex recently returned to America following a successful 3-day tour of Nigeria, where they were met with important figures and delivered powerful speeches. The trip received a lot of attention, and royal author Tom Quinn suggests William now sees his role diminish. Speaking exclusively to the Mirror, Quinn said, "It's almost and if Harry is using it's almost and if Harry is using his freedom, his outcast status, as a means to become more prominent royal than ever before. Could have when he just and he couldn't have when he was just a spare. um, Harry and Meghan have realized they don't need the senior royals' permissions to organize successful overseas trips where they behave as if they are the real thing. Well, they are the real thing. They are still royals. What do you mean if they are the real thing? They are. They're prince and princesses of the realm. They're the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They're not behaving like royals. They are royals. Okay, so it continues. It says during their time in Nigeria, Meghan and Harry were played with, I'm sorry, were played the British national anthem, something which happens on royal trips. Harry was also invited to inspect troops despite being stripped of his military titles. Well, a lot of people inspect troops that have never served. Harry happens to have served, and he is a veteran. I believe he collects a pension. Quinn continued, they know they will be welcomed and feted as royals, even if they are not officially royals at all. But they are royals, dum dum. They have realized that the leaders of many countries don't care who is an official royal and who isn't. They are just happy to see a young, glamorous couple who have royal titles and fit the bill. Well, finally, he's speaking truth. They are an attractive young couple and they are royals, so they do fit the bill. And because of their glamour, because of their connection with people, they are ideal for these types of tours, right? And after what we see in their wildly successful tour of Nigeria, they are convinced that they are on a roll. However, with Harry being at the center of attention, it seems the Prince of Wales is feeling left far from happy. He may even have to start to feel a bit like a spare himself, or at least for the first time in his life, is being. It's not the first time, damn it! This guy is getting on my nerves. For the first time in his life, he's being overshadowed by his brother and sister-in-law. He's been overshadowed by a ladybug crawling up somebody's arm. I'm telling you, a boiled egg could overshadow William. Watching paint dry could overshadow William. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. I could look at that famous YouTube video where the kid bite the other kid's finger. I'd go watch that rather than to deal with William. It doesn't take much to overshadow him. He's Charles 2.0. There's nothing interesting about him. All of his jokes fall flat. He's not attractive to look at. And on top of that, he's stupid. If he's not saying something stupid, he's doing something stupid. And if William is not doing something stupid, he's thinking of something stupid to say. Oh. Anyway, Charles is said to have first used the term when the late Princess Diana gave birth to Harry. He's said to have responded, "Wonderful. Now you've given me an heir and a spare. My work is done." Um, oh, you know what? I did skip that part. Harry has previously referred to himself as a spare and revealed in the memoir, given the cruel nickname by his father, Charles. Yeah, so heir and the spare. William may be the next king, but he's boring and nobody is interested in him, right? Nobody is interested in him. If it wasn't for his proximity to power, if it wasn't for the fact he just inherited a billion-pound duchy, if it wasn't for all those things, he has about as much charisma as a cactus. There is no place in polite company for somebody like William. He's dull and ignorant. Lex says they are conflating Spare with being overshadowed. Spare was the scapegoat of the family. William didn't have anything to overshadow Harry, so they denigrated him. Thank you, Lex. Yeah, I would say conflation is the right thing to say because they're using it in the wrong way. The term spare, they are using it in the wrong way. They're making it about William when to be a spare means that it doesn't say that you're popular or unpopular. It doesn't say that you're working harder than the other person. Spare just means that you are forced to live in the shadow of the person who is going to inherit the throne. That's it. That you're just there in case something happens to the other person. Technically, George is the spare. He's the one that's going to inherit the throne. He's the one that's waiting to be the next one. But thing is, Harry is just super popular, and he always has been. There have been many times when Harry has outpolled everyone in the family, everyone, including Queen Elizabeth. So, um, if being popular and overshadowing the heir to the throne, if that's what it means to be a spare, then fine. But the thing is, William doesn't have that popularity. He has a bunch of old royalists who knows that inevitably William is going to be king. And so out of a sense of solidarity, out of a sense of tradition, when they have their little popularity things, of course they're going to vote for him. But collectively, the entire royal family is underwater. Before this whole cancer thing, do you guys remember that they were polling at 48%? That was the first time that as an entire unit that the royal family had polled beneath 50%. And to most people that means they're underwater. They're underwater. And last I heard, Kate's popularity was 61%. She used to be what in the 70s, the 80s, right? And William, a little less than that. So they're not in a strong position. They're just not. The only strength they have is the purse. They have plenty money, and of course, they get to make and break the rules. But that's it. They don't have the heart of the people. They probably never have. I'm curious as to how these polls are conducted. Nobody's ever rang my phone. Oh, did that already. And so right there, you can see, even at the Queen's funeral, when Harry was supposed to be stripped of his military uniform to walk behind the Queen's coffin. They were trying to humiliate him. Harry looks like the head of state being protected by some generals. That's what it looks like. There's no way to take the warrior, to take the soldier out of him. Once a soldier, always a soldier. It's embarrassing. They embarrassed themselves. And the sad thing is, there was no one, including the tabloids, to stop them. Even the tabloids, a few people, not all of them, of course, but there were even a few people in the media that told them, listen, don't do this. And they did it anyway. They made one exception, and that was Harry wearing his uniform to stand by the Queen's coffin. I'm sorry he did it, but then again, I'm glad because it was embarrassing to William. But whatever the case may be, um, they keep shooting themselves in the foot. So right here, we're going to get to Kate. Reminder that Coachella, Coachella, is that it? Anyway, has stood firm throughout that she has very reliable sources on this issue. So, to protect the account of the squatty who wrote that, I omitted their profile picture and their name just to keep those other people out of their account, of course. But right there, Concha Coachella provides new and worrying data on Kate Middleton's health. Of course, all of this is alleged, as far as I'm concerned. The worst is not over yet. The worst is not over. According to them, Concha Coachella, collaborator of Fiesta, provides unknown information about the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, would have to go under the knife again, allegedly, before the end of the year. The British Royal House cancels in extremis. All of this, this is translated, by the way, all of its engagements until July. The reason news about Princess Kate's health comes in dribs and drabs. And a few months ago, it was Kate herself who communicated to the whole world through a video, maybe, that she was suffering from cancer. And she did so after weeks of speculation about her notable absence from the public events of the British royal family. Okay. Now, after that statement shared by hundreds of media outlets around the world, hardly anything has been known about the state of health. In addition to the well known discretion of the Windsors, there is the complicated moment that the family is going through since not only Kate is currently fighting cancer, but also Charles is currently facing complicated recovery from the same disease. Is he really, though? Anyway, Kate will go under the knife again before the end of the year. Now, you guys, let me just pause here and say this. I hate to even refer to this, but this is what people are saying. They're saying that that is going to be their excuse, that there was a complication after this next alleged scheduled procedure. And then after that, we may not ever see or hear from her again. That they may Let me see. What did I say about that soap opera? Write a certain character out of the show. She may be written out of the soap opera. That's what people are speculating. And I think it's just awful. I don't want to believe that that's possible. But everything up until this point is so strange. None of this makes any sense. Um, Although hardly any information has emerged about the situation in which Kate is at the moment, our colleague Concha Conchella um, has once again obtained unknown and exclusive data. The Fiesta collaborator assures that the worst is not over yet and that Kate will have to undergo, I'm sorry, would have to go under the knife again. About Kate Middleton's specifically, I've been told I'd like to tell you that the worst is over, but it is not true. The statement is not finished until August, and she will have to undergo another surgery before the end of the year. I Why am I whispering? I don't think um why am I whispering? I don't think we're going to see her at the moment, at least not until she's much more recovered. Why am I whispering? Oh my God. You guys, this is scary though. This is scary. I'm telling you. Now, y'all know I'm not much for that person, but I certainly don't want to see anything like what people are talking about. You know what I'm saying? That would just be a bit too much. I am disturbed by the fact that a whole person seems to have disappeared from public view. This is the weirdest thing since the two princes went to the tower. Which reminds me, where are the children? Okay. And then, have you guys heard that anything about Carol Middleton being in some type of situation that was spoken about, and then all of a sudden nobody spoke about it anymore? Have you guys heard about that? Because that would explain why we haven't seen Carol Middleton. We have not seen Carol. We have not seen Mike. We have not seen the children except for George. Oh, Blue Draws, you heard that last month, huh? Yeah, Adrian, um, when someone is that slender, when someone appears as, you know, as 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 she does, I don't want to say exactly, but when somebody is that slender, they don't really have enough sustenance to survive that type of intervention, you know? Okay, so you heard about it, Adrian. Who else? Oh, Angelina Stan. Oh my goodness. Aren't you just a Jessica Fletcher? Ah, Mary Davis doesn't believe any of it. I think the Spanish press is part of the. Oh, so you think that they're deliberately feeding them information so that we can look the other way? Well, that is a possibility. That is a possibility. And until we know better, okay. Oh, wait, can you guys hear me? that have said that these things are not um how do I put it? That they're not logical. That this stuff is just not logical with the treatment. Okay, I see some of you guys are saying no sound. Some of you say now I can hear. Yeah, I know this is on a delay. The chat is on the delay, but I think we're okay now. Um, I had accidentally muted the mic. Um, okay, so let's continue. So right here, you can see William has been going out having the time of his life, right? William has been pulling shots at a pub. He's gone out with that mysterious dark haired woman. He's been hanging around with the Scientologist, Tom Cruise. What else has he been doing? He's been playing at the beach. Um, he's been, what do you call it? Going to he went to a food shelter or whatever, a soup kitchen. He's been doing a lot of stuff, you guys. He's been doing a lot of things, but he's not the only one. Pippa was seen frolicking at the beach. Camilla is so distraught about Kate that she's playing with the Camilla Barbie doll. And let me see, exhausted Camilla takes a week off. Yeah, she took a week off. And who else? The Tyndalls. Well, the Tyndalls, they've been doing all kind of stuff. Kate's uncle, he's so upset about her condition. He went on Big Brother. Um, what's her name? Afro Annie has been going to the occasional lighthouse and launching ships and trains and stuff. Um, the the Edinburghs, they have gone skiing among other things. William has gone to football games and such. So everybody's having a good time. Everybody's having a good time. The only people that we have not seen enjoying themselves has been Mike and Carol Middleton. But everybody else in the family, her brother is making dog food and making friends with dog food and feeding whatever stories he's allegedly feeding to Richard Eden. Right? Everybody's having a good time. And of course, the one person who really should not have done anything per cancer preventative treatment is Megan. How dare she pass out jars of jam or preserves to her closest, dearest friends whilst promoting her up and coming lifestyle show on Netflix? How dare she do that? And also, how dare Harry and Meghan go off to Nigeria and be treated with such love and respect, as well as other things that they've done? How dare they? They should do like the rest of the family and go to the beach or go to the Formula One or go skiing. What were they thinking? How careless are they? They should play with Barbie dolls. But no, Meghan and Harry are so reckless and irresponsible, they're actually doing their humanitarian work instead of doing like the rest of the royals, going to garden parties and flower shows. And let us not forget that offensive time that Meghan read books to children at the children's hospital. I don't know. I'm going to have to think differently about Meghan now because, with Kate getting that preventative care, I don't know if that was I don't know if that was the right thing to do. I don't know if I can co-sign for that one. It seemed very reckless and inconsiderate. seeing that the rest of the family is sacrificing? Do you think it was easy for Edward and Sophie to go skiing? They probably had remorse the entire time. And what about Pippa running her little flat behind around the beach? That couldn't have been easy. And the Tyndalls, all of that rubbing and touching and tongue rings and stuff. Surely they were the ones that were the worst off. So I don't know. I'm going to have to give Harry and Meghan the side eye for being the responsible royals and actually getting some work done. I'm really going to have to give them the side eye. What is this? Annie Bullard says, oh, it's happy birthday, Annie Bullard. Oh, that's Lydia Washington. And prayers for a successful surgery for Patricia Gordon. Oh, absolutely. Patricia Gordon, we are going to definitely get the prayer warriors together for you. And as for Annie Bullard, happy birthday and many happy returns of the day. We're going to definitely have to do a dance off for that one. And thank you, Lydia Washington, for alerting me. Never believed in the whole Kate copying Meghan until fans spot striking similarities, right? You know, one of the things that have confounded and frustrated me with Kate has been this abusive thing of the copycat. And it got so far out of hand that occasionally even the tabloids write about it when they have a slow news day or when they're listening to what the Sussex squad is saying. Even they will talk about it. But as mad as I am about that, among other things, but this is like one of the worst offenses to me. I still don't wish anything bad on her. That smug grin and that sly look that she gives the camera when she is being so disrespectful to our Duchess. I still don't wish anything bad on her, especially for the sake of her children. And yet I find myself actually concerned about the fact that she seems to have disappeared. That is just something so strange. And yet the media has nothing to say about it. But there's an uptick of people discussing it. I saw what did you guys see? Claire Kane today? She spoke about it. But the other thing I want you to take a look at, this was like a year, about maybe 14 months ago. And even then, Kate was noticeably ill, right? You could tell that she was ill. And I'm wondering if the push to copy Kate caused her to ignore her health. I wonder if all of the copycating and all of the competition, I wonder if she was encouraged to be slimmer than you already are. Because there were derangers. Look at Kate. She's so beautiful. She's had 3 kids, and look at how she got rid of all that baby weight. And then they would laugh and make fun of Meghan. But at what price? Look at the state of her. Kate Middleton taking her revenge on Meghan Markle with major change, says experts. Speaking on the royal beat, royal biographer Duncan Larcombe says that the hiring of a new private secretary for Kate Middleton comes as revenge against her sister-in-law, Meghan Markle. If they did not want this article out there, it wouldn't have gone without being either removed or they would have apologized for it. But Kensington Palace wanted this out there. That has their fingerprints all over it. But at what price? At what price? Look at the price. I believe that whatever was going on, it could have been the frequent arguments that have been alleged, the frequent battles between both husband and wife, right? Which have led to trampoline injuries. And when you look at some of the photos that have not been photoshopped, and even some of the ones that have been photoshopped, Kate looks horrible. She looks horrible. I mean, look at her. These are the images that made it in the magazines. Something is terribly wrong. And I don't think it was just a matter of health, but it's got to be something else. William with his notorious bad temper. And even the derangers are trying to not say that. But there are some royalists, not to be confused with the derangers, some are one and the same, that have not wanted to admit their concerns. There should have been an intervention of some sort. Maybe someone from the government, but there should have been an intervention because there's just been too many odd things. And now the oddest thing of them all is that nobody has seen Kate publicly since Christmas. We haven't seen two of the children since Christmas. We have not seen her mother or her father, not even while she was supposedly in the hospital. You cannot tell me that there's not something strange going on. Let's see, Baron. Yes, for the children, is very disheartening to see. To not seeing Kate with her children has got to be very scary for her. I think there's, you know, other people in her family that are alarmed and they can't say anything. And I think that there are some people in the media, if they have any heart whatsoever, that should be alarmed and probably are just afraid to say something. You know, people that have been with them over the years. You would think somebody would say or do something. Yeah, over 5 months. They have moved her off the radar. They have reduced her appearances in the public consciousness. And I'm telling you, if we get some kind of news in August, if we get some kind of weird news in August, all HE double hockey stick is going to break out. Maybe. This is Kate in 2023. Her clothes look ridiculous. She's wearing wigs and extensions and more wigs. And if we could see that, then surely someone close to the family should have had an intervention. What is wrong with you, ma'am? What is wrong with you? Do you need help? Are you ill? Because it was brewing for a while. And yes, maybe secretly she had something going on that they knew about. But then again, they were making travel arrangements for early January. They were supposed to go to Italy. But William did not take her to Singapore. William did not take her to New York. And to show, and I do think in response to the New York thing, or was it Singapore, when Kate went out and did those maneuvers with the military, wearing those Lululemon pants, I think that was her way of drawing attention away from William. I think that was a sad, feeble attempt to draw attention away from William. But he did not want to take her to two different countries as though it was being, as though we should have assumed that whatever relationship they have is over. And maybe that's why she took a turn for the worse. Because after being, rejected from the New York trip, rejected from the Singapore trip, and William lacking any charisma, that would have naturally have doomed these trips to failure, because at least Kate could put some pretty clothes on and people would be more excited about her visit. But she wasn't there to be excited about. Lex says, at best, the was that 12282? She had enough. She had enough, and they are. Oh, okay. At worst, I don't want to go there, but I hope her younger two kids are okay. Yeah. Oh, 12/28 and 2023. Okay, got you. 12/28, 2023. All right. That's the date. I was like, huh? I was like, is that a combination? But thank you for that. Oh, and thank you for your comment. Let me see. Let me see. That was when I said someone needs to get her mental health help. Okay. Looking bad since they went on the tour, and even Top Gun. Oh yeah, the Top Gun premiere, which reminds me, I do have that coming up though. That was one of the photos I selected. Okay, so take a look at this. Kate Middleton is not expected to join Prince William in Singapore for Earthshot Award ceremony in November. The Princess of Wales will not travel to Southeast Asia in November for the final of Williams Environmental Award, according to the Telegraph. So they claimed that she was not going because George had his finals and that she needed to be there to help him, which sounded very suspect at the time. Sounded very suspect at the time. But before her illness, William had released a bunch of statements and had leaked a few things allegedly to the tabloids, remarking that he was going to do his tours alone, that he was going to go it on his own, that he and Kate were going to do less joint visits. Remember that? They said they were going to be doing less joint visits. And here's something else that we have not talked about for a while. Remember the big announcement for 2024? Y'all remember that? We haven't talked about that for a while, but there was supposed to be a big announcement for 2024. And we all thought that that meant that William was going to be a single dad. And some of the articles, even after, there I go whispering again, but some of the articles, even after Kate's illness was made known of, referred to William as a single dad. that he could go it alone, that he could take care of the kids himself, which is odd. Why would you say that when your wife is sick? Your wife is ill, recovering from abdominal surgery, and you put out a statement about Gaza, and you use your cipher, or your whatever, your cipher that you used before you got married. You guys, there's all kind of breadcrumbs. There's all kind of clues that don't necessarily tell you what's happening, but it does expose intent. After all, Kate sat on that bench, however that was made possible, whether it was animation, AI, or an actual recorded video. She said very bizarrely, with William by my side. And as someone said, I think it was the girl on TikTok, she said, now that is something that would definitely cause trouble if it turns out that that is not a real credible video. William could not possibly be associated with it. That would be bad for his brand. You know, I'm using a euphemism for that, but that would be very bad for his brand, so to speak. You know, I could do this all day. I could go back and forth with this all day, but be warned, we're going to talk about this again. We're going to talk about this again. I think it deserves attention. Um, Whatever happened in on the 28th of December, right? Um, yeah, because he's not allowed to fail. He's not allowed to fail. He's not allowed to have problems like that. He can't even be accused of certain things. Any implication would be a problem. Yeah, they had put so much makeup. I remember she was wearing all that makeup when they went to Boston, and she didn't look like herself. She looked like a characterization of herself. She had all that makeup on, and her face was all shiny and weird looking. Let me see. Kim Peter says, Baron, I'd really like Kate. I really liked Kate for a long time, but the moment she wore white to Megan's wedding, I thought this is a B. Who thinks she is better than Megan? Princess Megan really tried to be a sister. Yeah. That was a lost opportunity. That was a lost opportunity. The trouble that Kate is having right now, she wouldn't be so alone, and she probably wouldn't be in so much trouble if she had a feminist American actress as a friend, a confidant, or even, just a simple companion, right? I believe that's one of the reasons why they didn't like for um, Diana and Fergie to be close to one another. They didn't want to see them happy and joyful. They wanted them with their heads down, like some type of Stepford wife. They wanted them to walk around being demure and not really being young, vibrant women. That energy that they could have brought to the institution for a sustained period of time could have done nothing but good for the institution. But because that did not happen, you have a whole generation or two of young people that are so disconnected from the institution. And like Harry, I'm very optimistic about the possibilities of the monarchy, the possibilities, because it's a very big platform. And I do believe one of the reasons why Meghan was keen to be a part of it is because of the a level of change that could have been affected, the quality that could have been brought to the lives of tens of millions of people in the Commonwealth. But there are people in that government and even in some of the Commonwealth that do not want people to thrive. They don't want them to thrive. Because if the Commonwealth had lived up to its promise, there would be a pool of money to bring quality of life to some of the most impoverished communities in the Commonwealth. But instead, the only thing they spend money on is a royal tour. That's the only thing that seems to go. Well, actually, I take that back because Britain still makes money off of these Commonwealth nations. A lot of wealth is still being extracted from these Commonwealth nations. You go to some of the tropical beaches and resorts, the best land is given to foreign interests. Most of the money leaves the place instead of helping the people in the community. And if that is what the Commonwealth is good for, there's nothing common about the Commonwealth. Ruth says, I have a bit of sympathy for the old fashioned mute woman. She was groomed to dislike Meghan. Bow. Um, where's that? But she is suffering the fate they had planned for Meghan. Ooh, Ruth, that is a mouthful. That is a mouthful. But I get what you're saying. And it does appear the misery that they were trying to push onto Meghan has shifted, has diverted, and gone to someone else. Wow. You get a bell for that. That was brilliant. Where is that thing at? Where is it at? Hold on, wait for it. Yep, you better dig a hole for yourself, as they say. You had better dig a hole for yourself. Jules Ryder says, well, he's cheating out in public, allegedly, and everyone knows it. Is Camilla's way of breaking up a marriage that marriage looks what she did. No, yeah, look what she did to Diana, and she don't care. Well, there was someone who was saying today that Camilla seems like she's trying to wreck the Diana's children, trying to wreck their lives as a way to strike out at Diana. She has never stopped striking out at Diana. Diana's reputation has been forever tainted by the lies that have been pushed by these authors and columnists and TV personalities. Every so often, they will come up with some revelation about how Diana wasn't so nice. Diana wasn't so polite. Diana was scheming and manipulative. They keep Diana's been dead for what, over 25 years, but yet they keep this narrative going as a way to justify Camilla's position. And that's what it's been. They have to destroy Diana's legacy to make Camilla and Charles seem like good people and that they deserve happiness. They have had to chase Harry and his new wife and child out of the country as a way to uplift Will and Kate, amongst other things. It also helps the other riffraff too. But that's what they've done. They have moved a lot of pieces. They have done a lot of dirty stuff, a lot of shady things to try to reform Charles and Camilla's reputation. And then by the time of the coronation, which is really their first big marriage, their first big wedding, that was a wedding day for them. By the time that happened, uh, they were writing articles saying the love affair of the ages. They were always meant to be together, and it's too bad that they couldn't just marry each other in the first place. Well, I think that the Church of England at the time frowned upon the marriage of the Prince of Wales with someone as, shall we say, rough around the edges. And I do mean rough around the edges. I mean, just rough around the edges. Dan's, I'm sorry. That's Baby Sis Doll says, I hate it when they try to attack Harry. I'm sorry, try to attach Harry to Kate. Here, here. And thank you so much for the super chat. That sick, twisted thing that they were doing, there just seemed to be no logical reason for that other than trying to make, I don't know what they were doing. A distraction, maybe? What was the point of that? Were they trying to start some type of whispering campaign to justify William being a single dad? But then they thought about it again and were like, no, because she's not coming back to the public view. So we probably shouldn't do that. Not while she's away on business or whatever. Francine Mosley says, Baron is not working. Diana's legacy is secure. Seabiscuit is not well liked, as Royal Rotor Rats write about. Yeah, but Francine Mosley, that is true. Diana's legacy will stand. But there's a whole bunch of people that were introduced to Diana for the first time with the crown. And a lot of those people are not going to seek the truth. Now, there are people like you and I that watch The Crown, or maybe I'm the only one watched it. I shouldn't say you. But there are people like myself that watch The Crown that knows the real Diana. And so it had no effect on me. The only thing it made happen for me was it made me very angry. But there are people who don't know. There are people that are going to believe what they say. And even if it is a majority of people that know better, I don't think anybody should be spoon-fed misinformation about Princess Diana, because some of them are going to take it as the gospel. They're going to believe that it's true. And maybe it's not enough for me to concern myself with, but I just don't like it. I don't like it for Diana. Diana lost her life. She didn't get a chance to see her children grow up, grow into men. She didn't see them get married. They didn't have that to share with her. And the only thing that I see coming from that institution is more vitriol, more lies, more plotting and scheming to make her seem as though she wasn't that nice person that she appeared to be. Even what's his name? Arthur, what's the photographer name? I still got that little clip where he said, Camilla is a lot nicer than Diana. Just out of the blue, he said that after spending the day with Camilla. And he's not the only one. There have been others, other royal reporters that have done that. And the point and the purpose of those headlines and of those words is to sink deep into your subconscious so that you will be triggered someday. You will be weaponized to hate Diana. They're doing it on purpose. And that's what they planned for Meghan. That's what they planned for Meghan. The only thing is Diana did not have a Sussex squad. She didn't have a Wales squad or anything like that. She didn't have that. There was no social media back then. Would have made a hell of a difference. Thank you for your comment. I got a few more of these. But take a look at her. This is Kate before she disappeared. What on God's green earth was happening in that house? You know, they leak information like I couldn't believe when I heard not one, but maybe three royal reporters saying that Adelaide Cottage is one of the coldest places on earth. Adelaide Cottage really is not a comfortable place to recover. And they made Adelaide Cottage sound like it was going to Siberia, like someone was being punished by Putin, right? Like you're going to some jail north of the Arctic Circle. How do they know this? When did they go to Adelaide Cottage? What do you know about Adelaide Cottage? But yet they went on this whole little propaganda campaign of building a case about why Kate needs to be at her mother's house. And then most recently, they built a case for Kate to go to Admiral Hall. So now they're all at Admiral Hall. She's surrounded by her birth family, her blood birth family. When the question is, haven't they seen her up, recently? Why are you making it a point to say that they're with her now as though they haven't seen her for a while? I think that they're losing control of the message. I really do believe they're losing control of the message. It's unraveling slowly. I truly believe the British media is hiding and telling at the same time while also stirring the pot to keep things going. It's ridiculous. Thank you, Lady T. Thank you. Oh, ciao, Robert Collins. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, 6:45 a.m. Very cool. Grazie. Grazie. I thought they wanted public funds. You know, KC, the thing is, Adelaide Cottage is on the Windsor estate. And I know Charles is, you know, in charge of all of the property now. That's his concern. I don't believe William lives in Adelaide Cottage. I believe William has been going back and forth to Admiral Hall and Windsor Castle. Why would the entire family abandon Windsor Castle and just use it for ceremony? That never made sense to me. I never believed that the family completely moved into Adelaide Cottage. I believe Kate moved to Adelaide Cottage. I believe that the children spend time at Adelaide Cottage, but I also believe that the children and William spend time at Windsor Castle. with the exclusion of Kate. Even last year, I don't think Kate was very welcome at Windsor Castle unless there was an engagement, like sitting at the piano mocking Meghan. That was an excuse to go to Windsor Castle. But other than that, I don't think she was very welcome because I believe that Windsor is actually William's territory. Why would you live in that little crappy cottage when there's a big castle, a world class residence just up the road? Who does that? What is Charles going to do? Tell him no? That doesn't make sense to me. Now, I can't prove it to be true, but I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. The queen is gone, right? Um, Philip is gone. Everybody else have their palatial homes. So you're going to leave Windsor Castle empty? What would be the point of it? They have plenty of apartments there, probably much nicer than Adelaide Cottage. Adelaide Cottage was a way of going separate directions for Will and Kate. That's what I believe. I believe they split their time and that Kate spends the bulk of her time at her mother's, and this was before she got sick, and at Adelaide Cottage. Oh, yeah, Francia Mosley. I believe that. I do believe that. Oh, Robert Collins, I'm glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. Enjoy Royal Sussex while you sip a cappuccino at a Roman cafe. Let me see, Baron. Even Piggy Morgan said something suspect about the Will and Kate situation. Yeah, and you know he'll blow the whistle. When it's convenient for him, he will do it. Wasn't Windsor Castle the Queen's weekend home? Yeah, when she was alive. Now it's a full time place of solitude. She hasn't left since September of 2022. She's permanent. She's a permanent fixture at Windsor Castle now. Yeah, you just walk down the lane and she and Philip and Margaret, the Queen Mother, they're all there. Us four. Let me see. Popeye and they say birth family to hide the surname Middleton as it's not aristocratic or regal. Okay. All right. So let me say this. Henry VIII pointed out the whole thing with the birth family. Now, I do believe that professionally, Henry VIII is a nurse. So, as an older adult who has lost quite a few relatives in my lifetime, when I hear that the family has gathered, that never sounds good. The family is with them now. And to make it even worse, the birth family, that sounds so ominous, right? If it was a soap opera from back in the day, that's when someone would strike the chords of the organ. Bum, bum. You know, that's exactly what would happen. Like some old soap opera, the suspense music, surrounded by loved ones. That sounds weird, as though something bad was about to happen. You guys, if anybody would have said that one day we would be sitting here trying to figure out the whereabouts of Kate Middleton, I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have believed it. You could not have convinced me that I would be spending my time trying to sort something like this out. I'd be like, oh, she gone? Oh, ain't that too bad? but I'm seriously concerned. I mean, let's face it, you guys. We have our differences, but we don't hate those people. There's no hate in the Sussex squad. Bad wigs, um, a severe weight loss, a very hollow look. Something's wrong. Something was wrong then. And I remember the wigs, the wigs. You know, before it wasn't so obvious. We knew about extensions, but the big wigs, toward the end, before she stopped making public appearances, you have to admit that some of the wigs were becoming ridiculously large. Like the one on the left side there. See the one on the left? She had those big, gigantic bangs. That is a wig. Nobody has that much hair. And I used to watch Sonny and Cher. Okay? Nobody has that much hair. It's a combination of wigs one day and extensions the next. They tried to hide whatever was happening behind lots of makeup and big hair, which only to me draws more attention. Yes, CL, I'm old. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is a soap opera, Lady T. It really is. Karen Warner says the same with Princess Megan. They will say she is not nice to. She had to because let me see. She had to because the mother uh, is that the mother beast to protect her child, herself and husband. Is that right? And still protecting her family. Don't try nothing. Um, well, fortunately, there is Spare. There is the docuseries, which has been the most popular docuseries in the history of Netflix. Spare, the best-selling nonfiction of all time. And let's see what else. Little bits of information from Archetypes and the Oprah Winfrey interview. So there is a permanent record. And because so much has been made of everything I just mentioned, at least we know that with all of the rewriting of history that they do, they're not going to successfully change the story. They're just not. They're not going to be able to do that. There is countless videos on YouTube, TikTok, and wherever else you look, there's going to be permanent information. And I have no doubt that Megan at some point is going to tell her side of the story. It might be 10 years from now, but she's going to tell her side of the story. We are going to hear from her. That's the only thing that protects them. That is really the only thing that protects them. We're like a nice little backup, but them speaking their truth protects them. Kate's secret strength. That's how they were planning to start the year. That's January 8th, 2024. Kate's secret strength. People magazine. And of course, I'm sure that this was supposed to show that she had overcome all of the implications of being accused of being a racist, right? And it seems as though Camilla has, even though they were trying to say it was Camilla for quite some time, especially the American tabloids, but then it got pushed over to two people who didn't have anything to lose. That, of course, being Charles, because he's king, doesn't matter, and Kate. She is not going to ever be king, and she doesn't need to be popular more than William needs to be popular. So she may have been scapegoated and maybe becoming the scapegoat. And like someone just said, what they were trying to do to Meghan, maybe that's what happened to her, is that she was made the scapegoat. Maybe she was made the scapegoat because William cannot fail. He cannot, because he is going to be king. But she is not a blood royal. She just married into the family. The children are born, so they don't have to worry about that. There are plenty spares to go around. So if they needed to sacrifice someone when it comes to this whole thing about who's the racist, maybe they decided that instead of it being Camilla and William, which I still believe it was William, they decided to go with Charles and Kate. That's what makes sense to me. And it's not to say that she's a nice person and that she wasn't capable of saying that. But you know what? That is going to stick with me for a few days. As a matter of fact, I'm still thinking about it now. That what they were trying to do to Meghan is what ended up happening to her. That they had planned for Meghan somehow became her problem. Wow, that is powerful. That is powerful. Sometimes it takes just a few words to change things. Sometimes it's so obvious you just keep looking past it. And then all of a sudden somebody says, isn't that what they had planned for Meghan? I mean, I remember people were saying, um, I want for her whatever they had for Meghan, whatever plans they had for Meghan, that's what I want for Kate. Little did I know. Little did I know. But it is important to remember all of this is hypothetical. All of this is just our collective opinions. And someday the absolute truth, the truth will come out. But for now, we can just, speculate about these things. Boo Boo Romero, thank you so much for being here. Wow, I can't believe it's almost 2,000 of y'all here tonight. Now, you guys, I really feel bad, but I got to show you this. I got to show you this. This was the last time we saw Kate. This was the last time we saw Kate. And I feel bad showing this. I really feel bad showing it. Because this is obviously someone who was in a lot of trouble in front of the eyes of the world, and there was nothing anybody could do for her. There was nothing anybody could do for her. By the 28th of December, there was a motorcade racing toward the hospital. By the 17th of January, we hear about abdominal surgery, no cancer. And then by the 22nd of March, we hear that there was cancer present, but there's preventative treatments going on. We just don't know what kind of cancer it was. And in between, we saw the 5-wheel Audi with her mother and someone who may or may not have been Kate. We saw the farmers market. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing it out of order. We saw the Kate staring at the brick wall. You couldn't see her face with everything going on. That's the only photo that the palace seemed to give them the green light to share. And when that didn't work, then we got the farmer's market, where someone with the energy of a teenager came boating out of the farmer's market, moving faster than Hoghead Pierce Morgan running out of the studios of Good Morning Britain, right? Remember that? Whoever that was at the farmer's market with the speed and the dexterity of a teenager came boating out of there smiling and grinning and throwing hair weave around, but it just didn't look like Kate. Even a computer analysis, according to um, Christopher Bosey, even a very powerful computer program said that that was a woman in her late 20s and possibly early 30s. And then he compared the picture of Kate on the bench, and the computer said that that was a woman in her early 40s, age 40 to 45 or something like that, I think it said. The computer ain't going to lie. It was one of those facial recognition programs. And it was a computer that is used by people that do that kind of work. So that was not Kate at the farmer's market. And oddly enough, the one Kate lookalike that it looks like says it's not me. But of course, if there was that person there, then they would be under contract and couldn't say so. They wouldn't do this without guarantees, right? So we saw 3 or 4, maybe 5 different Kate Middletons since Christmas. It's a very sad photo. Lex says it's like the Lifetime movie No One Would Tell. Ooh. Oh, what was it? Oh, I'm gonna have to look into that. Thank you, Legs. Yeah. You guys, this is alarming. It really is. It is alarming that someone's mother, someone's daughter, someone's sister is just unavailable. Just unavailable. And even that George, whatever his name is, the member of parliament or the House of Commons, whatever, he gets on television and says, we want proof of life. And it's going to come back to the proof of life again. Then what are they going to do? Because it's going to come back to proof of life. People are going to want evidence. Wow, Legs, was that a 1996 movie? A shy high school student's seemingly perfect relationship with popular jock turns abusive and dangerous. Wow, okay. Shy 16-year-old Stacy Collins can't believe that the most popular guy in school, an attractive athlete named Bobby Tennyson, is interested in her. At first, she is flattered by his constant attention, but then he becomes possessive and jealous, telling her who she can speak to and what she can wear. Threats escalate into violence when he thinks she has stepped out of line. Soon she is walking on eggshells and living in fear, having seen the telltale bruises, her best friend convinces her to break things off with him. But in a moment of weakness, she goes to him. Hmm, that sounds interesting. That sounds very interesting. Thanks for the info. And the name of it again is No One Would Tell. Huh. Oh, Fred Savage is in that movie, huh? Okay. All right. Oh well, Kate. Um, believe it or not, the Sussex squad might be the only people that's looking for you. Uh yes, Rohini. Now that would be an option for sure. That would be an Mystic Toxin says, and before KP is said to announce. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Mystic Toxin, is that I'm curious to know how they're gonna I'm not even gonna say how they get away with this, but how do they justify this very strange behavior? How do they justify all of this strange maneuvering where she's concerned? Now, if I hear one person say, oh, and by the way, thank you for the super chat. If I hear one more person say that cancer doesn't mean that you have to be hidden from view, if there are ways that they could make a public appearance that is not grainy footage like it's from an old Motorola Razor phone, that is not produced by the BBC and nobody wants to put their name on it, you know, instead of making just a regular video, they create something that has this weird yellow haze, like it was recorded in a sandstorm or something. There was absolutely no reason for that video to appear as strange as it did, but that was done deliberately. That was done deliberately. And remember, you guys, remember when Christopher Bosey was calling them out about the questionable quality of those videos, they went after him. They went after him big time. I mean, his name was mud by the time they got through with him. And that's not my imagination. That's what happened. They really went after him because he had statistics, he had data to back up everything he was saying. I wonder what the people in the room with her, I wonder what they were thinking when they spent time with her, like at this shelter or bank or whatever it is, food bank. Wonder what they were thinking when they see her looking so ghostly and pale. Kate's your best friend 1 minute and your worst enemy the next, expert claims. And then there was that very bizarre article. And then when people called them out, what happened? They took Kate's name off of it and put Harry's name on it. They substituted Harry for Kate. And there has yet to be a reasonable explanation why the Mirror which Kensington Palace plays like a fiddle. Why did the Mirror do that? You see, it's so easy to forget stuff like that because so much has happened. But why did they do that? Why were they building a case against Kate 1 minute? There was the article before that. She could give it just as well as she could take it. Oh, they've had some very brutal arguments. And did they say something had, I don't know. I don't want to say what else they said with that, but I'm trying to remember some of the words that they used. But they made it sound like the two of them were constantly going at it. And by the way, if that ain't a wig, I don't know what is. But that for sure is a wig. Mystic Toxin says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait. Let me see. Is that someone's account in before we find out? We find out the Middletons got money to. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. But still, I mean, that's their family. Would they? Is there enough money for that? I mean, in spite of the things I think about her mother, I just couldn't believe that they would leave her twisting in the wind you know, for a financial windfall. Would they? I don't even believe that they're, well, then again, I don't know her family. Ooh, the debts have. Well, Mystic Toxin, you're bringing some some troops in here tonight. What happened is, I believe the British media get legal threats to remove articles or change. This is what I'm saying. A lot. This is why. Remember, if you were here when I first started, what did I say? Is that Kensington Palace leaks a lot of things, and some of the stuff that seems rather bizarre or strange. If for any reason Kensington Palace did not believe, or should I say, did not go along with something, they just pick up the phone and the article is either removed or is changed. Didn't I say that? I said that at the beginning. And this is a prime example of Kensington Palace getting their way. This is a prime example of that, where somebody picks up the phone and like, hey, we didn't say Kate, we said Harry. Change it to Harry. But you all said Kate. Whatever. Just put Harry's name in there. Click. Oh man. So in happier times, when um when they thought Harry was going to be there forever, and Kate, of course, seemed to be fascinated with Harry. William was secure in the fact that he'd never have to do any real work because Harry would do it. And then Harry left. Harry is here to stay. Harry left. Harry ain't going nowhere. Bye, y'all. See the difference? Now they ain't got nothing to say to each other. Hey, Lizzie 34, thank you for being here. And of course, that ill fated night when William neglected to help his wife up the steps, and Tom Cruise, the action hero, had to step in. And yes, that was one of those occasions when Kate was not looking well. That was one of those occasions. Now, I'm going to move on to another topic, and I am taking too long. We're going to end up on here much longer than I wanted to. So let me get moving here. I'm not even going to read those. This is the same thing from yesterday, that they're afraid that Beatrice and Eugenie are getting too close to Harry. Once again, I don't believe that. I believe that this is another distraction. I don't know what they're trying to distract, other than the fact that they want to make sure that it's clear that Beatrice and Eugenie are not welcome to do royal duties. We'll call you when we need you, but you're not going to be a permanent fixture. Charles has never opened up the door to those sisters. He Andrew has pushed on their behalf for years for an expanded role with the institution, and even in their most desperate hour, they refuse. I don't know why. William, of course, would be able to leverage them into doing more, but he doesn't seem to want to do it, or allow them to do it. So I don't know what this is about. Is this possibly um, Charles and Camilla sending a message to William? Do not ask them to do anything else. Now that's a possibility. That's a possibility. But otherwise, I just don't think that the institution is going to welcome them into anything permanent. We'll see them at Troop in the Colors for sure. But other than that, I don't know what their future roles are, but I don't think it's going to be as working royals. And right there, you can see even Hello Magazine, Beatrice and Eugenie in the spotlight as they step up to support Prince William. So it seems like William is trying to push them in, and Charles is trying to push them away. We talked about that yesterday. The premonition from Globe magazine that Camilla is going to be queen no matter what. And everything that they said was going to happen happened. They said it was going to happen. She's already acting like Queen Camilla. And that was back in 2013. That was 11 years ago. That was 11 years ago. How did they get that so right? Oh, you guys are going to love this. At last, one columnist has expressed regret for some of the initial coverage of Harry's romance with Meghan. In hindsight, others might wish things had been handled differently, but this statement turned the royal reporter beat toxic and prompted threats to journalists. So the Australia Sky News, among others, they wrote an article about um, the statement that Harry made from Kensington Palace saying to leave Meghan alone had been removed from the royal website. Why? We don't know, but it was on the Buckingham Palace or official royal website. Now it's gone. But if you look over here, this is the reason why Harry wrote the statement, or requested a statement from Kensington Palace, even though they were secretly instigating this stuff, because of the accusation that Meghan is going to make a run for it. Or what's this one? Harry has gone over to the dark side. Harry to marry into gangster royalty. New love from crime ridden neighborhood. And of course, there is the Sarah Vine article. Lisa Glaze says, since Kate has stomach cancer, she probably been unable to engage in marital relationships for quite a while, hence will being gone often. Thank you, Lisa Glaze. But I'm going to have to caution that, though, that they never said what kind of cancer, so we don't know that. And also, um, we don't know if they were, you know, having issues long before this absence or long before any illness. Um, from all outward appearance, they haven't been close for some time, right? And also, it was rumored that Kate wanted to have a fourth child, and William thought that three was too many, and that he was against having another child. And the tabloids kept saying that Kate was like some kind of brood mare. So that right there would also lead me to believe that there was nothing going on for some time, because either way, if a any man in that family wants to dip off, they're going to do what they're going to do, especially a Prince of Wales. They're going to do what they're going to do. It's almost expected for the Prince of Wales. But thank you for your comment. Very interesting, just the same. Okay, so the royal family appeared to have deleted statement issued by Prince Harry, former communications secretary, more than 7 years ago. Um, and what prompted the statement was this article right here. Harry's girl is almost straight out of Compton. Gang scarred home of her mother revealed. So, will he be dropping by for tea? That is deeply offensive, racist, and they were just getting started. They were just warming up. They were on what do you call that? They were warming up before they went out to the pitcher's mound. That's baseball talk. Let me see. Okay, I think this is it right here. It says it's not right that a few months into a relationship with him, that Miss Markle should be subjected to such a storm. The statement read. He knows commentators will say this is the price she has to pay, and that this is all part of the game. He strongly disagrees. This is not a game. This is her life and his, right? Let me see. Oh, you know what? That was like the end of the statement. Oh, I skipped the whole start of it. Some of this has been very public. The smear on the front page of the national newspaper, the racial undertones of comment pieces, and the outright sexism and racism of social media trolls and web article comments, the statement continued. Some of it has been hidden from the public. The nightly legal battle to keep defamatory stories out of the paper, her mother having to struggle past photographers in order to get into her front door, the attempts of reporters and photographers to gain illegal entry to her home. Oh my God. The calls to the police that follow, the substantial bribes offered by papers to ex-boyfriends, the bombardment of nearly every friend, coworker, and loved one in her life. So that's the statement that the palace deleted. That's the statement that they deleted. They did not want that part of a permanent record. They did not want that part of a permanent record. And it's not as though it is going to ever disappear. I think that is just a way of punishing Harry or striking out against the Sussexes. I mean, it's just part of the antagonistic behavior, the petty, childish behavior from both houses of Windsor. That's what it is. They do this deliberately as a punishment. And so right here, oh, there's a statement right there. I was looking at the article on the other screen. I'll leave that up there for you guys. It's her life and his royal family scrub Sussex statement against press from website after 7 years. They just got rid of it. They just decided to get rid of it. Very strange. Very strange. I cannot help but think that this is some type of striking out against both of them, possibly. But there was no reason to remove that, except they just didn't want it part of the permanent record. I wonder how anybody even noticed, but from time to time, people do go nosing around the website looking for things. Okay, take a look here. These are some of the headlines: some rich and exotic DNA, Harry to marry gangster royalty. This is what prompted that statement. Oh, this one is really juicy here. I love this. Is this out of order? No, it's not. So, Richard Palmer, I did share that with you. Let me go back to it. Richard Palmer said this, at least one column. Okay, so that's what he tweeted. And then one of the squatties, Vanessa Nguyen Hernandez, says, "You bigots were racist with Meghan from day one. You're just mad because Prince Harry called you out right away and wouldn't let you do your racism in peace. I'm glad Meghan left your crappy island. You can focus on the royals you pay for, the sick ones." Ouch. And then Richard Palmer says, "I think you should perhaps instead look at your own prejudices and racism. Sure, like I said, some things could have been done differently, but can a couple who don't speak to many on both sides of their family, who have lost so many upset staff, be entirely blameless?" And of course, that it did not go unanswered. Vanessa says, "Typical gaslighting when a racist like you is called out. You mean a couple who don't speak to toxic family members? Great. I applaud them. Seems like they made the right decision considering they're happy, thriving, and healthy. Can't say the same about the royals." Remind me never to get into it with Vanessa. Hear me? Remind me never to mess with this girl. Can't say the same for the royals you pay for and refuse to focus on. Also, why are you still obsessing over Harry and Meghan? They left 4 years ago. Move on. Oh my God. Mm-mm-mm. Now that is a read. That is a read. Vanessa uh, picked him up, took him to school, and dropped him off with some lunch money, with some milk money, so that he might learn something. That's what just happened. She took that little boy and dropped him off at school with some money to buy milk for his little cafeteria milk and just left him there. And maybe he'll learn something. Messing with the wrong one, boo. You are messing with the wrong one. Now, about it. That is Sarah Vine. That is the one who wrote that article that makes me cringe. That article makes me cringe. Out of all the words at her command, she decided to use that one. I can't even say it. I can't even say it. I don't like saying it. I don't even like acknowledging it, but I don't like that word. So I decided that I would update it. Yes, they're joyful in love. So why do I have a pegging worry about this engagement picture? Yes, I have a pegging worry about this engagement picture. Why am I worried about this picture? Now, did someone says the three chins? Well, there you have it right there. These are some of the other articles that she wrote. Let me see. Drunk on their drama, Harry and Meghan say ridiculous, negative, I mean, relentless negativity forced them out. Yet these joyously positive front pages prove, oh God, give me a break with that. And then, of course, well, anyway, let me go to the next one. Let me go to the next one. So Sarah Vine, how Kate went from drab to fab, from eyebrows and Pilates to new style guru. Our experts reveal the Duchess of Cambridge's secret to looking dazzling. And what did she say about Meghan? Let me see. Yeah, about a month later, she says, memo to Meghan Markle, follow your Vogue editorial. We Brits prefer true royalty to fashion royalty. Do you see how nasty her comment changed from June the 16th, 2019? Oh, I'm sorry, June the 14th, it was updated, to June the 29th, on July the 29th, 2019. Just that fast, like somebody hit a switch. Nice to Kate, nasty to Meghan. That's her husband, the one that she lost because of Brexit. That's right. That's her husband. In spite of the fact that she had her claws dug into him, somehow he managed to escape. How he managed to escape her clutch, I have no idea. It seems like that would be virtually impossible, but somehow he managed to escape her clutch. She had a firm grasp on the relationship, as it were, but somehow he managed to loosen those talons and escape. Sarah Vine, Prince Harry's portrait of Camilla the villain bears no resemblance to the earthy, authentic, and engaging lady I've got to know. Really? So, living in the same household and having spent time, you know, behind the scenes with Camilla, as Harry has, having known of her probably his whole life, I would say that Harry has a better idea of what Camilla's like instead of the boozy old broad that is sitting up there gossiping about everybody in the family and leaking information. Of course, it's not the same person. I mean, after all, Harry is living his life and Camilla is the witness to parts of it, or she has heard things. And so that's the Harry on his side. On her side, there's the boozy old broad that used to be a chain smoker, they say, that is gossiping and laughing and whispering about everything that has ever happened to anybody in that family, especially people who she doesn't like Harry. She meant to get rid of him, and he's gone. Sarah Vine, Prince Harry is playing a foolish game. The trouble with all this public soul searching is that after a while, the novelty begins to wear thin. Oh, really? You mean like the soul searching? Brexit cost me my dearest friendships and my marriage. I pray Sunak succeeds so as individuals and as a nation, we can put this civil war behind us. Sarah Vine. That sounds like soul searching to me. Isn't that soul searching? Isn't that putting a public face on something that should have been kept to yourself? You lost your husband, and am I correct? She lost her husband to another man. Did I read that, or is that somebody else's story? Anyway, once again, you have a royal reporter complaining that Harry and Meghan have poured their feelings out about something, right? And they shouldn't do that. However, Charles pretty much wrote a book about his life, complaining. Sarah Ferguson, even Diana spoke about her miseries. And as shocking as it is to believe, William has leaked stories to the press about his feelings on occasion with his approval. So everybody can talk about how they feel except for Harry and Meghan. Somehow they are excluded from that club. I don't know why. But they're not supposed to talk about themselves. They're not supposed to share their feelings. That is the domain of every other human being on the face of the earth, just not those two. And of course, there's the unfortunate but persistent, uncanny resemblance to Harvey Firestein. Now, that's given me a weird feeling. I cannot not see it. Every time I turn around, I keep thinking Harvey Firestein. I don't know why, but they look so much alike. They look so much alike. See? Is that Sarah Vine? Is that Harvey Firestein? I don't know. I forget which one it is now. Maybe it's Sarah Viningstein. And then, of course, Miffy Buckley says Sarah Vine looks like a faded Ponton's children's magician who's now banned from loitering around parks and primary schools. I think I like this one more than I like the one I made up. I think I like this one more. uh, anyway, it didn't take much for the app, the Face app, to make Sarah Vine more, shall we say, masculine. It didn't take much of an effort, did it? Okay, you're gonna love this. New profile pic taken yesterday for all the lovely trolls who say I'm using someone else's picture. Weirdos. I don't know what the other picture looked like, but let me tell you something. If this is supposed to stop people from, being critical or saying nasty things about you, I don't know if it works because to me it seems like you're hiding something. What is she hiding? What is it that she's not sharing with us? Could it possibly be those necks? Huh? Because it seems as though she has this proclivity for hiding said necks. Every time she takes a glamour shot, that hand goes right up to her face for good reason. See there? So, like I said, if she's trying to stop people from saying unkind things, I don't think that's the way to do it. So I guess she got tired of me pointing out that hand up at her face, and she decided to wear that huge jumper. Look at there and got makeup all over it. What a slob. You see that? She got lipstick and makeup all over it, trying to hide them necks. Yeah, them chins and them necks. She trying to hide all them chins and all them necks and got makeup all over it. And that's the picture she replaced. This is another one of my favorites. Sarah Vine. If anyone deserves an anti-racism award, is King Charles, not Harry and Meghan. Yeah. And of course, that was the photo that the Daily Mail used for her article. But I went and fished out this old photo of Sarah Vine. So on the left, the real Sarah Vine versus It Takes a Village. And trust me, it took a whole team of people to create that Sarah Vine. That did not come naturally. I have to admit, it's like night and day. They even took a couple of chins away, but it definitely takes a village. So the one on the left, the real Sarah Vine, the one on the right, the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, along with a few other people, including a mortician, was used to create that glamour shot. And with that, you guys, I am finally done. I don't know how we ended up taking 2.5 hours. I did not mean to do that. But thank you all so much for being here. I really had a good time tonight. Thank you for allowing me to get some of this Where's Kate Middleton off my chest. And just for the record, I'm going to say this again. I hope Kate Middleton the best. I hope that if a lesson needed to be learned, that the lesson has been learned. But for the sake of her children, I wish her peace. I wish her well. Hog jows. There you go. Hog jows. Oh, hog jows. Hog malls. Okay, let's go back up to the top. Now let's go to this one. There we go. That's better. Oh, thank you, Lydia Washington. Always a pleasure. Which, by the way, I'm going to go through some of those what do you call it? Those deleted comments. I haven't done that for a few days, but I'm going to have to go and permanently block some people because I'm sure they have been acting out. Not to worry, I will take care of them. So we have a dance off coming up, right? We have a dance off. Sorry it took so long, but let me see. That was for Annie Bullard. Yes, Annie Bullard dance off. All right, here we go. Hello, Ivy here. Hello. Oh, let me see. Okay, let me see. There we go. That's better. Hello, Ivy here. Hello, Ivy. Girl, the Duchess of Sussex won. Meet me at the Royal Sussex party. Nelly's gonna be there. All right, Ivy out. what? I have not come down from my high yet. As you know, I I just love that little girl doing the Cabbage Patch. She was doing the Cabbage Patch. All right. All right. Oh, really? I did not know that, but I would imagine that it's a good source of protein. All right, Annie Bullard, if you're still here, happy birthday. Many happy returns of the day. Yeah, you guys, I just don't know what to think. Um, mm, 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 mm. So strange. Very, very strange. Also, I've been thinking about how the economy is, and I looked at I saw an article, or no, it was a tweet maybe, or whatever it was, and it said that the biggest grocery store chains in the US has reported record profits, which means that the prices that we're paying for food right now is permanently raised using the pandemic as an excuse. And they do the same thing with gasoline. Whenever the fuel prices go up, they say that the oil is the reason why the everything costs more because of the plastics and all that kind of stuff, the fuel that it takes to bring things to market. But one of the things that we get right in the US, and there's a lot of things we do wrong, but one of the things we get right is this is a very efficient country when it comes to work and manufacturing and farming and such. Very efficient. And the American rate of productivity is some of the best in the world. And yet we get the least amount of vacation in the industrial westernized world. So there's no excuse for the prices that we're paying. And usually when they jack the prices up, they don't take them back down. So if you're thinking that this is because of the pandemic, it's really not. It's an excuse. You see, the price of automobiles have gone down again. Why are we still paying more for food? Because they want those record profits. That's why. Absolutely, Marshar. It's a good day for reflection. That's for sure. It's a great day for reflection. For those that we have loved and lost, and of course, they will be with us always. Yeah, it's just plain old corporate greed. I think the economy would be so much stronger if and this the thing about immigration, the politicians on both sides, they secretly want immigrants because the birth rate is in such a decline. Most wealthy nations have a declining birth rate. Even China has a declining birth rate. And they want immigration. They just don't want to admit it. They use it for political purposes, but they want immigration. They want the cheap labor. If you don't believe me, look it up. Look it up. It is true. I don't care which politician says it, they all know that we need people to help pay for our pensions, to help pay for our retirements. Yeah, Janet, it was a good excuse. It was a good excuse, but it's over with now. The what do you call it? All the shortages that has been sorted out what 2 years ago, and yet we're still paying so much. And they scammed a lot of people, gouged a lot of people with automobile sales. A lot of car dealers are still charging well over the manufacturer's suggested retail price. They're still doing it, even though they have big inventories. They're still gouging the public. Yeah. Well, um, I don't know what's going to happen in the near future, but you guys just take care of yourselves and your families and try to be good to one another. That's the best thing you can do is just try to be good to one another because politicians are trying to divide people and make people enemies of one another. And of course, the media, they're using fear tactics to keep us afraid so that we'll keep coming back to them like an abusive relationship. But I'm going to tell you, when you guys pray, it works because my brother was in really bad shape. And when I say bad, it was about as worse as it could possibly get. And what was that, a couple of years ago? He is a medical miracle, a walking, BS talking medical miracle. I can assure you of that. I mean, what we didn't even think was possible. So, prayer works. It really does. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go. Thank you all again. No long goodbye tonight. I'm just going to go. Love you guys. I will see you next time. Thanks. And I hope you all have a very productive week. And let's close with Madam Duchess.
Bitter. And, somebody needs to say it. Bitter. Bitter, bitter, bitter.